What if what you thought was trash was just beauty in disguise? In this video, we'll transform roots, rocks, and branches into 12+ stunning garden borders and fence ideas. Made for tiny yards, crafted from what others throw away. This is Nailed It Now, where broken things become beautiful again. Every image here is just inspiration. Use what you have. Shape it your way. Make it yours. And if this moved you, remember, I'm not just making content. I'm sharing a dream. Every subscribe keeps that dream alive. Thank you for being the reason I keep going. They say beauty lies in simplicity. In the garden, nothing speaks louder than that soft line between soil and stone. In this tiny corner of the world, repurposed bricks and weathered stones find new meaning. Not discarded, not forgotten, but chosen, hand-stacked with care, lining paths that meander gently through blooming beds. Each stone tells a story. Each chipped brick is a whisper from forgotten wall, now cradling tender roots and bright petals in its second life. As you walk along the border, your eyes trace the rhythm. Stone, brick, stone, a pattern of patience. There's no perfection here, only the kind of charm that only comes from making something with your own hands. And that's the true gift of this DIY project. You don't need a vast backyard, just a few hours, a quiet heart, and materials you may already have lying around. Gather river stones, collect those old bricks resting behind the shed, and shape a frame for your garden dreams. Let the lines of your borders follow the flow of your space, curved if you like, or sharply angled, bold and tidy. Fill the bed with whatever speaks to you. Herbs, blooms, or leafy greens that dance in morning light. The result? A rustic elegance that welcomes you home. A frame that holds life in place. In the end, it's not just a garden border. It's a gentle reminder that even the broken, the worn, and the ordinary can become something truly beautiful again. Sometimes, the most unexpected shapes in nature become the most unforgettable pieces in our lives. A tangled tree root, once hidden beneath layers of earth, forgotten after a storm or left behind by a fallen giant, can be reborn into a gentle focal point in your patio space. It doesn't need perfection. In fact, the magic begins in its twists, its scars, and its unruly grace. In this quiet little patio, the root rises not as debris, but as design, a natural pedestal, a table that tells time not in hours, but in rings and ridges. Paired with a slice of salvage wood or even a flat stone top, it transforms, no longer just a root, but a place for morning tea, a book in the golden light, or a vase of lavender swaying in the breeze. To make one of your own, you don't need a forest. Look around your local woodland trail, your neighbor's woodpile, or your own backyard after a windy night. Choose a piece with character. Let it speak. Clean it gently, dry it fully. Sand the base where needed, but let the wild parts remain. That's where the poetry lives. Place it near ferns, under vines, beside old chairs, or beneath pergolas. Let moss grow along its edges if you wish. Invite the imperfections to stay. Because in a world full of polished furniture and straight lines, there's something soulfully grounding about a table shaped by nature itself. As if the forest found a way to sit beside you. Sometimes, the fence isn't just a border. It becomes a gallery, a place where nature and imagination quietly meet. In this simple vertical space, curved branches, once scattered on the forest floor, rise again as gentle arms holding life. They cradle shelves made from salvage wood, each plank now a stage for tiny pots, trailing greens and fragrant herbs. Rosemary leans to one side, as if whispering to the time below. Lavender blooms softly in the breeze, while creeping ivy tiptoes downward like a slow dance. It's a humble transformation. A bare fence, once only functional, now sings with personality. With nothing more than fallen limbs, a few screws, and whatever containers you can gather, old jars, small tins, cracked mugs, you can build your own vertical garden story. Look closely and you'll notice the branches aren't uniform. Some bend gracefully, others twist with wild memory. But that's what makes it beautiful. There's freedom in letting nature lead the design. You don't force it straight. You follow its curve, and in return, it brings you charm. You can place these shelves anywhere, in a tiny patio, along a sunny wall, or even on a narrow balcony. Let them catch the morning light. Let them welcome bees. Let them remind you that beauty grows quietly in small spaces. And as the days pass, you'll find yourself returning to this fence, not to look at it, but to feel with it. Because here, the branches still breathe and the garden still listens. There's something magical about a pot tipped over in the garden, not by accident, but by intention. In this quiet corner, the story begins with a single terracotta pot, gently laid on its side. But what spills from it isn't soil or broken roots. It's life. A cascade of marigolds, petunias, daisies, flowing out like paint from a brush, sweeping across the ground with joyful abandon. This DIY idea may look like art, but it's surprisingly simple. All you need is a pot, cracked, whole, large or small, and a plan for your bloom to tumble. Angle the container slightly into the soil, let the flowers curve outward like a stream, and choose blooms that love to trail and spread. The more they grow, the more natural it looks, like a garden caught in motion. Use the edges of your backyard, forgotten corners, the base of trees or patio edges, and suddenly, that overlooked space becomes a miniature moment of wonder. What makes this idea truly special is how it plays with perception. It turns gravity into design. It takes what looks like a mess, a spill, and turns it into beauty. Unexpected, delightful, and absolutely full of life. And maybe that's what a garden is all about. A place where even the smallest corner can bloom, where even a fallen pot can overflow with purpose. There's a certain kind of peace that settles when you walk along a garden path, especially when nature is not just growing around you, but shaping the very path beneath your feet. Here, old hollow logs, once forgotten in the woods or tucked behind a shed, come alive again. Split and softened by time, they cradle soil and seed like ancient hands, gently holding new life. Along the edges of this humble path, flowers spill from their wooden cradles, ferns unfurl, herbs grow thick with fragrance, and the logs, though silent, speak through every crack and ring and patch of moss. This isn't a difficult project. It's slow, yes, intentional, but never complicated. Seek out logs that are hollowed or soft enough to carve. Line them up like a gentle border, letting them curve with your space. Fill them with soil, something rich and alive. Choose plants that trail or rise, that offer color or scent or both. You can let wild strawberries peek through, or tuck in soft herbs like mint and thyme. The logs will weather, the bark will flake, and that's the beauty of it. They become more a part of the earth with each passing season, in small gardens, in narrow spaces, in corners that once felt forgotten. This idea brings warmth. It connects what grows above with what once grew below. And maybe that's what makes it feel so grounding. A path that remembers a forest, a planter that tells a story, a border that doesn't just hold your garden, it holds time. Some of the most captivating lights don't come from expensive fixtures or polished chandeliers, but from bottles once left behind, now glowing gently with new purpose. In the quiet of your garden, as the sun begins to soften and shadows stretch, these bottles come alive, hung from fences, perched on posts, or suspended above a patio table. Their colors shift and scatter like stained glass under the sky. Green, cobalt, amber, each shade catches a light like memory in motion. This is a project not born from perfection, but from play. Gather bottles, old, mismatched, forgotten. Clean them. Let them dry in the sun. Then string them with fairy lights, or nest small candles inside. You can mount them vertically on wood, hang them with wire, or simply arrange them on shelves to catch the sunset. And the result? It's more than decoration. It's atmosphere. It's story. Each flicker is a moment. A quiet dinner, a conversation on the porch, a child pointing at the colors dancing on the stone floor. What's beautiful about this DIY idea is its rhythm with the seasons. In summer, the bottles sing in sunlight. In winter, they glow against gray. And always, they remind us that reuse can be radiant, that light can live in what we once thought empty. So, next time you hold a bottle, don't throw it out. Hold it to the light and imagine what it could become. Every garden has a beginning, a threshold, a quiet invitation to step into something softer, greener, more alive. And sometimes that invitation takes the shape of a twisted arch, built not from steel or store-bought frames, but from branches shaped by wind, time, and the natural curve of age. Bent willow, weathered oak limbs, or driftwood gathered after rain, they come together in a way that feels both wild and intentional. You don't need perfection to build one. In fact, the more imperfect the branches, the more poetic the result. Start by anchoring two strong pieces into the earth, then let the others weave across, tied with twine or wire, as if the branches are holding hands in midair. You can let vines climb slowly up its arms, or dangle wind chimes that dance with the breeze. The magic of these arches isn't just in how they look. Though they are beautiful, it's in how they feel. They turn a plain backyard corner into a passage. They frame the morning light. They give even the smallest garden a sense of arrival, like you've entered something sacred, no matter how humble the space. And perhaps that's a quiet truth we sometimes forget, that the doorway into beauty doesn't always need to be grand. Sometimes it only takes a few twisted branches and a little time to remind us that we are always just one step away from wonder. Gardens don't always have to be serious. Sometimes they can laugh. In the smallest corners of raised beds, between sprigs of rosemary and little bunches of kale, tiny characters come to life, made not from plastic or paint, but from the very vegetables we grow. A carrot becomes a smiling explorer. A potato grows arms and dreams. A tomato wears wings and turns into a ladybug for a day. This whimsical idea is more than just fun. It's deeply engaging, especially for children or anyone who needs a gentle reminder that joy can be planted too. Using simple tools, maybe a marker, a toothpick, a few bits of cloth or buttons, you can turn your harvest into a miniature world. Create faces on your veggies. Add arms. Make hats from leaves or little eyes from seeds. And as your vegetables grow taller, your garden becomes a stage where delight and nature perform side by side. Even in the narrowest raised beds, this idea brings life and laughter. It encourages kids to connect with gardening. It invites guests to smile before they even speak. And most of all, it helps us see vegetables not just as food, but as characters, full of story, personality, and play. So the next time you plant something in your tiny space, leave a little room for wonder. Because sometimes the garden grows more than just plants. Sometimes it grows smiles. Sometimes, all it takes is a single word, painted gently on a stone, to shift the mood of a garden and maybe even your day. Imagine this, a winding edge of smooth river rocks, each lovingly painted by hand. Some bear simple plant names, basil, thyme, mint, guiding your eyes through the beds. Others whisper soft reminders, breathe, hope, grow. They don't shout for attention. They just sit there, quietly rooted, like wisdom passed down from the earth itself. This project is as simple as it is meaningful. No fancy tools. No need for perfection. Just gather some flat stones from a nearby riverbed, garden store, or maybe from a walk with someone you love. Clean them gently. Let them dry in the sun. Then paint. With colors that lift your spirit. With words that bring comfort. With doodles or symbols that feel like home. Line them along your garden beds. Use them to mark where you planted seeds, or create small circles around your favorite flowers. Children can join in, too. Their handwriting, their wild colors, their innocent words. They add charm no brush could ever replicate. And over time, these rocks do more than decorate. They become part of the ritual. A glance at joy while watering. A smile at courage while pruning. A pause at gratitude after a long day, in a small space, where everything must matter. These little stones carry more than just labels. They carry intention. And in the garden, intention always grows. In the quiet folds of the garden, some corners aren't just planted, they're imagined. Along the fence, what once held soup or tea becomes something far more enchanting. A tin can forgotten and ordinary is reborn as a tiny fairy cottage. Its roof made of bark, its door outlined with smooth little pebbles, its walls painted in colors soft as whispers. Here, in the smallest space, wonder begins to bloom. This idea isn't only for children, though they will love it dearly. It's for dreamers of every age. For those who believe that gardens can tell stories, and that beauty often hides in the broken, the rusted, the reused. To start, save your empty cans. Clean them well. Paint them with love. Glue tiny windows made from buttons or bottle caps. Shape a roof from twigs or moss. Surround the base with small stones, making a path that leads not to a door, but to imagination itself. Mount them to a fence, nestle them between flowers, or tuck them into shady corners under the vines. Add tiny lights if you wish. Watch them glow at twilight. And don't be surprised if you find yourself pausing at the fence a little longer than usual, just in case something magical stirs. Because sometimes a garden isn't just about what we grow. Sometimes it's about what we believe might be living there, quietly watching behind a pebble-framed window. There's a quiet kind of elegance in the spiral, a shape that turns, climbs, and always leads somewhere gently, in the heart of a tiny yard, where space is measured carefully and every corner matters. A spiral herb garden becomes more than just functional. It becomes poetry in stone. Each rock, hand-placed, forms a curve. Each plant, rooted in intention, rises with a shape. This isn't just a clever use of space, though it is beautifully efficient. It allows you to grow more in less room, with sun-loving herbs like rosemary at the top and moisture-hugging mint near the base. But more than that, it brings rhythm to your garden, a center, a flow, a sense of calm. To create one, begin with the stones you have. Maybe smooth river rocks, maybe broken bricks. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you guide them, one by one, upward. Fill the spiral with rich soil. Tuck in your herbs, placing each where they'll thrive best. Add a label if you like, or don't. Let it stay wild and personal. The beauty is, this garden changes with time. The plants grow fuller, the colors deepen, the stones gather moss, hold warmth, and remember your hands. And when you walk past or stop, even just for a moment, you'll feel it, that sense of movement, even in stillness. A spiral, after all, is a symbol of growth. And in your little space, that's exactly what you created. Sometimes the simplest pieces of nature, a fallen branch, a twisted vine, a patch of sunlit wood, become the most unexpected pieces of beauty. Here, on a narrow fence that once stood plain and quiet, a piece of driftwood finds new purpose. Its grain faded by wind and waves, its shape irregular and worn. It now hangs like a piece of art, graceful, grounded, and alive. From it dangle small pots of herbs, tiny lanterns, or the hand tools of daily gardening. Above and around it, vines curl softly, as if drawn by the memories still held in the wood. This project doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. A walk by the shore, a scavenged piece of driftwood, a few strips of jute string. Hang the wood gently against your fence. Let the vines grow without strictness. Let nature take its shape, slow and quiet. You can hang small buckets, tools, flower jars, anything that brings life and function to your vertical space. In a small yard, a wall rack like this does more than save space. It tells a story of something once drifting, now rooted, of something once forgotten, now framing your garden with soul. And in the evenings, when the light fades and the wind stirs the leaves, you might just catch it, the sound of something old becoming something beautiful again.